Today's August the 30th and I'm back up here at the Northland. I'm working on food plots today. We got those food plots all planted. We got lots of rain. The problem is we got too much rain. So we go from the last couple of years of drought to getting food plots planted. Perfect rain. We had rain the day after I planted. We had rain 2 days after that and 2 days after that, and the problem is we got so much rain it floated all of our seed, it destroyed it. They just got swamped and rained out. So I'll take you out and show you what's going on. They're not growing very well, so now I'm at the fork in the road on what we do. So I'm going to take two of them and I'm going to till them under, and I'm going with winter rye in those two food plots. The others are salvageable. So come on with me, let's go take a look at where we're at now. Okay, we're loaded up and we're heading out on the south trail here. Heading down to a couple of food plots out here on this end of the property. You can see I've got some straw loaded up. I'll explain that to you in a little bit. So here's our destination. This is the home of the candy shack, home of the candy man. Right over there, in through the trees is the blind. Right down this hill is a bunch of clover. Let's go ahead and walk down, see what we're dealing with here. Straight ahead in this bump out here is another big patch of clover that we planted. I came in here and hit it with some herbicide to kill off the grasses, and that seems to be doing okay. Then you've got down here at the north end of it, you've got food plot. There's our hill going straight back east. Then here's the southern side. We planted this, but really it's been a bust. Here we've got nothing but an invasive weed right here that's come up that we're dealing with in a lot of different places on the property. You can see we do have some food plot plants coming up in there amongst it. So it's not a complete and utter bust. What I'm going to do today and here, because I also seeded this into some clover, because I want to make this entire food plot a perennial clover plot next year. So I did throw some clover seed in with the secret spot that I put down, but I'm not expecting the clover to really come in until next spring. So here I'm going to do some raking. I'm going to take these invasive weeds, I'm going to rake some of it up, I'm going to plant the perennial in there, and I'm going to cover it with straw and see if that won't keep that weed from coming back. So that's the overall game plan. Alright, there's a patch of clover. There was quite a bit of volunteer clover. This was a volunteer clover patch here that I killed off with a glyphosate, and that clover I think will bounce back. It looks like it's bouncing back pretty good, so nothing wrong with that. We'll just keep after it. Here's how I made out. Got the hill replanted, some clover and some extreme perennial. Here's the south end. Got all that raked up, replanted and strawed. Raked out a lot of this, replanted a lot of it, and threw more clover seed down and the perennial extreme. So yeah, that Imperial Extreme should do well with the clover. I think I see clover coming up. I mean, that looks like a clover plant. That looks like a clover plant. So I got clover popping all over the place. Of course, I got secret spot in here too, so who knows. But either way, I got this whole end restrawed, and I can't do any more than that, gang. So now it's gonna be what it's gonna be. All right, I'm moving on to another food plot. All right, let's take a look at this food plot. So this was planted with secret spot down here on the blind end. You can see the blind way back there. I even threw down some straw to try to give it some help. You can see there's a few plants here and there, but I mean nothing's really coming up here, and it's been weeks. We've had consistent rain. I have no reason to believe this is going to turn into anything to speak of. But what I'm going to do is put this end into clover. We've talked about doing a perennial clover on half of this, so I'm going to go ahead and broadcast seed clover seed into this whole end of it. Call this the archery end of it. And then I'm going to drag this all out and plant it into rye. So that's what we're about to do right now. There's the drag. Here we go. Just got done dragging it. So I'm going to go ahead and seed it now. And then I'll drag that seed in. Hopefully it'll mix in. You can see it's not very deep. It hasn't really dug in there very deep. If it's gone an inch, that's a lot. So we'll go ahead and drag that seed in, and then I'm going to go ahead and straw this whole thing, and that should help keep some moisture in it in between rain and aid us in the germination. Okay, we got this one done. This is Greg's plot, and that is the seed dragged in from that post in the middle over. I was able to get that strawed, and then the other side from that post, the tree on the far end and the tree right there, straight line across, all of that now has been planted into clover. So I don't know what will happen for fall, but it's poised to come up in the spring. We're good enough now. We're at the end of August. If we can have a little bit of an Indian summer here and not get frost until we get, say, another 6 weeks out, that's asking a lot, we could really be in great shape for that clover. But nonetheless, that'll be a perennial clover in the front there. We'll see what the straw does. You can see where I dragged in that seed. I went pretty heavy. That's good. At least it's now laying, it's not all laying on top, so it won't bake in the sun. So that's that one. So I got 2 food plots done today completely, and I got 2 more to do tomorrow. So today's Thursday. I think it's now September the 1st, and I'm out here on this food plot that is clover. We got a perennial clover in here, and then over here this has all been an annual, and it snakes around to the back end. There's quite a bit of germination down there at the other end, and so I think what I'm going to do is rake the bare spots, infill that with some heavy seed for winter rye, and then I'll straw it. This is all going to get dragged. I got the drag there, and I'm going to go ahead and drag in some winter rye and some forage oats. So that's the game plan. It's like 8 o'clock, a little after 8 a.m. So I'm going to get after it right here. Before I get going, I thought I'd show you my setup. I've got a Massey Ferguson GC 1705 subcompact tractor. Right now I have the debris forks on the front because that makes it easy for throwing bales of straw in there and seed and everything else. It just extends the size of my box or my bucket. So here's the harrow drag. It really does a great job. You can pull it this way. You can flip it over and just drag it if you want to smooth something out. What I'm going to be doing today is dragging the whole field to basically expose the dirt. We want to make some good seed to soil contact. So I'm just going to go ahead and scratch the surface up. Then I'm going to broadcast seed into it, and then I'm going to come back through and drag that seed in, because it's so sandy. You can see how sandy the soil is, and it'll just dry out. If you just broadcast seed that rye on top of the ground, it's not going to take. We've done that and had very poor germination. So by dragging it in, it's going to give it a fighting chance to have some moisture on it. And then I'm going to straw over a lot of it to give it some protection against everything from the birds to the sun. And besides that, it'll introduce some organics into the soil, so that'll break down. So all right, that's my setup. I'm going to get after it. Okay, final food plot. I got that other one all done. So on this one, I had strawed this when I planted weeks ago. You can see I do have some plants coming up through the straw, so I think I'm going to leave this end of it. But what I am going to do is take all the rest of this out for sure. I'm going to drag this right down to the dirt, and I've got 2 bales of straw. Should be enough to darn near straw the whole thing. There's really very little coming up that's food plot related. It's just a total bust. Here's what's getting me. All these weeds right here. It's like a blanket of these things. And I'm hopeful that when I drag this up and straw it down, the straw will keep the sunlight from hitting it. I don't know. I've got nothing to lose right now. This is a bust, so that's what I'm doing. And I'm back. So, got the food plot dragged out. You can see I left this alone. I'm going to go ahead and plant some of the forage oats in here, and then I'll throw some more straw over top of the bare spots and hope that it'll take. The rest of this is getting hit with heavy winter rye, and then I'll straw it. Okay, that's a wrap on this one. I had enough to get the whole thing strawed, albeit lightly. Didn't really have any extra to put down, any additional in this front part, so we'll just see how it went. I mean, I did overseed it pretty good with that forage oats, so we'll see if that grows in there. You can see the rest of it has been, albeit lightly, strawed. It's still something to keep it from baking in the sun. By dragging in the seed, got good seed to soil contact. Some of it's below grade, some of it's not. What's not should be covered by some of that straw to keep it from baking in the sun. And now we just need some rain. But I've done everything I can do to give myself a fighting chance to have a food plot this year. There's the blind. So now we just wait and pray.